It began with a sound that didn't belong. Not a bang, not a scream, something smaller, quieter. A sound like the flutter of paper in a sealed room, like a breath taken by someone no longer breathing. It echoed between the seconds of a clock that had long since stopped ticking. Elena opened her eyes. She was not in her bed, nor a hospital, nor anywhere that memory could reach. Around her, a twilight hush, thick as velvet, pressed in from all sides. The sky, if there was one, arched with colorless stars that shimmered in and out of being, like forgotten names on the tip of a tongue. Bookshelves surrounded her. They stretched endlessly, towering and coiling in impossible spirals like trees that had learned geometry. Some shelves were carved of bone-pale wood, others glass, others something that pulsed softly like breathing parchment. The books murmured as they slept, their titles vanishing when you looked directly at them. She stood on a path of ink-black stone that glistened with unread sentences. Her bare feet left no sound. Elena whispered, "Where?" The air responded, not with words, but with feeling. A presence. Gentle. Listening. A whisper, not from behind or above, but from within. "You have always been here." And, somehow, she believed it. She moved forward. There was no door, no welcome, only the faintest pull toward something ahead. She passed a globe filled with rain that never stopped falling. A grandfather clock suspended upside down in an hourglass. A lantern lit by a flame shaped like a weeping woman. The whisper returned. "They are waiting. The forgotten. The fractured. The unfinished. Will you find them?" Elena's breath caught. Her hand lifted on its own, brushing the spine of a book that thrummed like a heartbeat. She opened it. A name she did not know. A life she never lived. And yet, the grief in the words hit her like she had. Tears came. She did not remember why, but she knew she was home. Chapter 1. The Library That Breathes. Elena awoke not with a start, but with a sigh. It drifted from her lips like smoke, dissolving into the stillness. There was no sharp intake of breath, no frantic scramble for bearings, only the soft, slow recognition of being. She was lying on something cool, not hard like stone, not soft like fabric, but something in between. A floor made of tightly packed paper, pages layered upon one another like fallen leaves. She ran her fingers across it. Some of them whispered under her touch. Others cried out in a language she didn't know, fading the moment they were heard. Above her, the sky was a ceiling, vaulted, dark, and endless. Stars flickered faintly between beams of hanging lanterns, swaying without wind. She sat up. No pain, no age. Her knees moved more easily than they had in years, though her hands still bore the faint tremor of memory. "Hello?" she called, her voice barely more than a hush. It sounded wrong. Not echoed, not absorbed. The archive did not respond like space ought to. It bent around her words like a listener leaning close. And then, a feeling. Not a sound, not a voice. A presence, warm, curious, patient. "You are awake." Elena looked around, expecting someone, but the words had not come from outside. They rang inside her head like a memory she couldn't place. She pressed a palm to her chest. I don't remember how I got here. You do not need to. Only that you are here. That is enough." She rose slowly to her feet. Her slippers were gone, replaced by bare skin on vellum. Her clothes were the ones she remembered wearing last. Old wool and faded cotton, librarian's garb from a quiet life. The scent of paper and ink clung to her, but richer now, more primal, like rain-soaked books and stories left in attics. All around her, the archive stretched endlessly. Bookshelves rose and fell like breathing. Some curled into arches. Some looped in spirals. A few drifted overhead, suspended mid-air like ribbons unwinding. At the end of the nearest aisle stood a bookstand. Upon it sat a single tome, larger than any she'd ever shelved, bound in cracked leather. The pages pulsed softly, as if alive. Elena stepped closer. A name flickered on the cover, appearing only as she focused on it. Elena Marrow. There was no map, no compass, only the gentle pull of intuition, like a current beneath her skin guiding her forward. She passed shelves carved from driftwood into ash, others made of braided glass or petrified vines. The books themselves defied logic. Some were warm to the touch, others cold as moonlight. One was shaped like a curled fern, another whispered lullabies in a language that made her heart ache. There was no dust, no decay. Yet it felt ancient, older than anything that should exist unspoken. As she walked, the library shifted subtly. A staircase would appear where none had been. A hallway shortened or lengthened as she passed. She turned once to trace her path and found it gone, as if it had never existed. Only forward, always forward. She found alcoves filled with memory. A table set for tea, steam rising though no one sat there. A child's shoes tucked beneath a shelf, outgrown and forgotten. A cracked violin suspended mid-note, soundless, but still vibrating. Elena stopped in front of a narrow archway flanked by mirrors. One showed her reflection as she was older, small, eyes wide with awe. The other showed her younger, hair longer, posture straighter, a book clutched to her chest and fire in her eyes. She stepped past them both. On the other side, the world opened into a chamber, unlike the others. It was round, cathedral-like, with books arrayed like stained glass in impossible colors. Amber, cerulean, rose gold. In the center sat a pedestal. Upon it, a quill floated, ink dripping from its tip into a well of black glass. As she approached, the ink shimmered. Images danced in it. Faces she didn't recognize, voices she nearly remembered, a hand reaching out that looked too much like her own. Then a breath, close, tender, unmistakable. "This is the scriptorium." The whisper was stronger now, more than thought. It was the library. Here, stories are rewritten. Lives are restored. Echoes are kept safe. Elena's throat tightened. What is this place really? A pause. Then, a home for what the world forgets. And you, Elena Marrow, have been chosen to remember. She turned, heart thundering. Chosen? I didn't ask. But you listened. That was enough. The ink in the glass surged. A name rose to the surface. Not hers. Not anyone's, she knew. But as she read it, her eyes filled with tears. She did not know why. The ink rippled. Letters curled from the surface like breath on glass, forming a name she didn't recognize, followed by a line of fragmented memory. The girl who never told her mother she was sorry. Elena's lips parted, a soundless O on her tongue. The words were weightless, yet heavy. They didn't feel written. They felt remembered. Not hers. Not quite. But real all the same. She turned to the floating quill. It waited, not hovering in command, but in quiet offering. Each story begins in silence, the whisper murmured within her. But it ends in you. Elena hesitated. But I don't know how. I'm not a writer. You are not here to invent, only to listen. The stories already exist. They simply need a name. She reached for the quill. It came to her gently, feather-light, as though recognizing her hand. Her fingers wrapped around it, and the room held its breath. The moment she dipped the tip into the inkwell, it surged. The world fell away. She wasn't standing anymore. She was there, inside it. A little girl sat at a table too large for her, legs swinging above the floor. Her hair was in two uneven braids. A crumpled paper sat before her. Tears streaked her cheeks. Her mother stood in the doorway, silent. A suitcase rested near her feet. The girl opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. 1,000 things were unsaid in that moment. 1,000 ways the world turned wrong. Elena's hand moved, not by her will, but as if guided, and the quill danced. Words flowed from it like water. Lena didn't mean to raise her voice. She only wanted her mother to hear her. But the words she needed lived behind a wall she didn't know how to tear down. Each sentence pulled memory into shape. The room, the scent of mint tea and rain-drenched earth, the crack in the linoleum, all of it real, all of it echoing. As she wrote, something changed. The air grew warmer. The sadness eased. The child looked up, this time, with eyes full of regret and courage. And the mother, impossibly, smiled. Then it was gone. The room, the memory, the girl. Only the ink remained, dry on the page, sealed in the book, now resting on the pedestal. Elena lowered the quill. Her heart beat loudly in the silence. "You remembered her," said the whisper. "And now, so will the archive." The quill drifted from her fingers, returning to its place in the air. The name on the book's spine shimmered once, then dimmed to a soft glow. Elena stepped back. She had done it. She had brought a voice back from silence. And in doing so, something in her chest, something long cracked, mended, just a little.